Listen closely, because what I am about to say is going to upset a lot of people. And some women will say this should not be shared, and that men are not supposed to understand it. And that is exactly why it needs to be discussed. Because when something controls your emotions without you realizing it, you lose your freedom, and your judgment, and your ability to choose your path calmly. There is a psychological loop that keeps many men stuck, and it is not magic, and it is not destiny, and it is not romance. It is a predictable behavioral mechanism that shows up across dating relationships and attachment patterns. And once you recognize it, you stop being ruled by it. A timeless idea from Stoic philosophy fits perfectly here, because most of what you hear is interpretation, and most of what you see is filtered through perspective. And the mistake people make is trusting words more than patterns, and trusting promises more than behavior. And that mismatch is where confusion begins. You may think this sounds bitter or cynical, but stay with me, because this is not about hating women, and it is not about blaming one gender. It is about understanding human psychology and keeping yourself emotionally grounded so your standards and your self-respect stay intact. Here is the core truth many people miss. Attraction is not always created by being treated perfectly, and obsession is often intensified by unpredictability. Consistent kindness can feel safe and secure, but inconsistent attention can create craving and mental fixation. And if you have ever found yourself constantly checking your phone, replaying conversations, questioning yourself, and trying to figure out how to get someone back to the version of them that felt warm and loving, you have experienced this loop. One day they are engaged, affectionate, curious, and enthusiastic. Then, without explanation, they become short, distant, distracted, or unavailable. And you do not just return to emotional neutral, you drop into anxiety. And that anxiety becomes fuel that pushes you to chase. This is not because you are weak. It is because the human brain is designed to seek resolution and certainty. And when it cannot find it, the brain starts scanning, obsessing, and interpreting everything as a clue. Psychology describes a major part of this as intermittent reinforcement, which is the same pattern that makes gambling compulsive and social apps hard to put down. When rewards arrive on a stable schedule, your brain adjusts, and the excitement fades because you expect it. When rewards show up randomly, your brain becomes more focused and more invested because it keeps hoping the next moment will be the winning moment. In dating, this can happen when someone gives you intense interest and affection and then removes it unpredictably. Your nervous system learns to associate them with emotional highs and emotional drops. You start working for the reward, not because the person is necessarily right for you, but because your brain is trying to restore the feeling it lost. This often shows up in recognizable patterns, like the hot and cold cycle, where someone is deeply present for days or a week, and then suddenly their energy shifts with minimal explanation, and it makes you feel like you must have done something wrong. It can also show up as strategic unavailability, where after a strong date or a deep intimate moment, they vanish for hours or days, and you start panicking and trying to fix a problem that may not even exist. It can appear as emotional withdrawal, where you open up and share something real, they respond positively in the moment, but later they act as if it never happened, leaving you to question whether it mattered. It can show up as an attention drought, where they are clearly active online or social, but not responsive to you. And that creates artificial scarcity, which makes their attention feel more valuable than it should. It can also show up as subtle competition signals, where other potential partners are mentioned just enough to trigger comparison and insecurity. And finally, it shows up as mixed messages, where their words communicate interest, but their actions do not align, and the inconsistency keeps you in confusion, which keeps you engaged. Uncertainty is extremely powerful because the brain hates open loops and unresolved meaning. When you do not know where you stand, you automatically become more focused on the person who is causing the uncertainty. That is why people can become obsessed with someone who does not treat them well and feel bored with someone who treats them consistently. It is not always about love, It is often about nervous system stimulation and attachment wounds and dopamine-driven pattern seeking. That is also why intelligent, successful, emotionally capable men can still get caught in this, because self-control is not enough when the pattern is operating below awareness. The first step to breaking the cycle is recognition. Stop labeling inconsistency as mystery or fate or a sign you must work harder. Name it clearly in your mind. This is unpredictability, and it is affecting my brain, and I will not let my self-worth be dictated by someone else's shifting behavior. Awareness matters because what you can see clearly cannot control you silently. The next step is discipline. When the withdrawal happens, do not instantly react. Do not rush to repair a situation that was not clearly communicated. Do not beg for clarity from someone who benefits from keeping you uncertain. Your nervous system will want to chase, but your freedom comes from pause. You cannot control their behavior, but you can control your response. And in many situations, the strongest move is calm, non-reaction. The third step is to stop over-investing. Match energy not out of spite, but out of self-protection. If effort is low, keep your effort proportionate. If communication is inconsistent, do not compensate by becoming more available and more accommodating. If someone values you, you will not have to earn basic respect through pursuit. The goal is not to play games. The goal is to stay aligned with reality and to keep your emotional investment accurate. The fourth step is to build a full independent life, because the fastest way to become vulnerable to emotional manipulation is to make one person the center of your validation and happiness. Purpose, friends, hobbies, health, career growth, and meaningful goals make you resilient. When your life is full, you stop treating attention like oxygen, and you can evaluate relationships from a place of strength, not desperation. The fifth step is boundaries. Clear standards create clarity. If consistency and respectful communication matter to you, then say it plainly. You do not need to argue or negotiate or accuse. You can simply state that you prefer straightforward effort and reliable communication, and if that is not available, you will step away. People fear this conversation because they think it will push the other person away. But if someone can only keep you interested through instability, then the relationship is already unstable. Boundaries do not ruin good connections, they reveal bad ones. To become permanently immune, you need a deeper framework. Focus on what is within your control, your behavior, your standards, your choices, your habits, your time. Release what is outside your control. Their moods, their attention, their past experiences, their readiness for commitment. Do not build your emotional stability on something you cannot direct. Do not confuse longing with compatibility. Do not confuse intensity with health. Many people interpret anxiety as passion, but anxiety is not love. It is uncertainty and attachment alarm. Another critical addition is to learn the difference between genuine busyness and consistent inconsistency. Everyone has busy days, but healthy interest makes itself known over time through reliable patterns. If someone repeatedly disappears after closeness, repeatedly cancels without rescheduling, repeatedly gives effort only when they fear losing you, that is not maturity, that is a loop. It is also important to understand that sometimes inconsistency is not manipulation. It can be disorganization, avoidant attachment, emotional immaturity, or unresolved trauma. But whether it is intentional or unintentional, the result for you is the same: chronic stress, confusion, and self-doubt. Your job is not to diagnose them. Your job is to protect your peace and choose what aligns with your standards. Another important truth is that long-term love is built on safety and trust, not adrenaline and uncertainty. Stable relationships are not boring, they are secure. The calm feeling you get with someone consistent is not lack of chemistry, it is lack of chaos. And many people mistake chaos for spark because chaos feels intense. When you stop participating in this dynamic, you may see escalation in the other person. They may send small bursts of attention after being distant to test whether they still have control. This is common because when a pattern stops working, people often intensify it, hoping it will start working again. If you stay calm and hold your boundaries, one of two things happens. They either adjust into healthier consistency, or they move on to someone who responds more reactively. Either outcome is a win because you regain clarity and emotional freedom. The final takeaway is simple. Do not chase inconsistency and do not romanticize confusion. You are not asking for too much when you want steady effort, honest communication, and mutual respect. You are not weak for feeling hooked. You are human, and the brain responds strongly to unpredictable reward cycles. But you can choose discipline over impulse, and standards over craving, and clarity over fantasy. There are emotionally healthy women and emotionally healthy men who want real connection without games, and you will never find that while you are trapped chasing someone who keeps you uncertain. If you want a relationship built on mutual investment, you must become someone who refuses to trade self-respect for temporary highs. So ask yourself this: will you continue investing in what destabilizes you, or will you step into control of your mind, your boundaries, and your peace? When you choose the second option, you stop being controlled by someone else's inconsistency and you start building connections that are real, stable, and worthy of your time. The choice is yours, and the moment you choose clarity, you take your power back.